Good afternoon. For the past several weeks, the Raleigh Police Department has assisted and facilitated protesters and rally participants throughout our city as they have exercised First Amendment rights, and we have done so by blocking traffic and allowing them to pass through various intersections and other locations unharmed. Yesterday evening, we had a group who changed their tactics. Members of the group ran into the intersections, jamming traffic and created hazards and other safety concerns. Our officers attempted to coordinate with them to direct traffic around them for their safety. In the past 3 days, we have had 2 incidents in our city that resulted in pedestrian fatalities. We clearly don't want to see this happen to our protesters. During one of these attempts yesterday, an incident occurred between our police officer and a protester, which was initially reported as an assault on a law enforcement officer that led to arrest and charges. I've had the opportunity to view various social media videos, but I've also had the opportunity to review body camera videos as well. In the spirit of transparency and accountability, the city and I have filed a petition for the release of video, as we routinely do. The juvenile who was taken into temporary custody last night was released to her parent. No juvenile charges have been filed. The other individual who was arrested was presented to a magistrate where she was subsequently cited and released. I have conferred with the district attorney's office as well and requested that those charges be dismissed. Based on my initial review of the body camera footage, I am concerned by the actions of some of our officers. And based on that, I have asked also for the Internal Affairs Unit to conduct a full investigation on this matter. At this time, I'll take any questions.
Chief Keely Arthur with WRAL News. We now have a council member who's saying this incident last night further speaks to the need to take funds away from the Raleigh Police Department. Your reaction to that?
Defunding the police department does not diminish the responsibilities and the expectations that the rest of this community has as it relates to public safety. This is a matter of conducting the right investigation, being what the community has repeatedly asked us to be, which is transparent and truthful and accountable. And as I stand here as the chief of police, that is exactly the steps that we're taking. To defund, when we are serving a city of 500,000 people, the resources are already limited. So the funds that we have will afford us to continue to maintain the services that we provide, but we're also looking at ways that we can expound upon those services and how we expand those through additional training, community engagement, building that relationship. Over the last several weeks, the Raleigh Police Department, along with so many other departments across the country, where we were moving forward, we've been knocked back a few times. And we have to own that as well and identify those ways that we can grow. But you can't serve 500,000 people in the city of Raleigh and the additional people who pass through into this city every day, because this is one of those great places to live, work, play, and learn without having the necessary resources to do that. And when you thin those resources, you see worse policing, and we've seen that across the country as well.
Chief, how many officers are going to be investigated with this particular situation? And for you, what was the most concerning thing that you saw from that body camera video?
I can't tell you how many will be, because as the investigation unfolds, I would not want to give a number today and that number change in any way and it looked like I wasn't telling you the truth. However, I think the public really got to see more of the video that speaks to the actual arrest and the extraction of the young lady coming out of the crowd. But also looking at the front end of the videos, the body-worn cameras. Those are the things that bring concern to me. And so I do think it warrants further investigation.
What specifically was concerning to you?
The overall actions of how we handled that period.
Are those officers still on duty? Will they continue working as normal until this investigation is complete, or will there be any sort of interruption in their normal workflow?
That remains to be determined as the investigation unfolds.
When you see something like this, considering the climate and the rest of the country, how does it make you feel? I'm sure right now you probably want RPD to put their best foot forward at all times.
I see what you see. I see what you see here in Raleigh. I see what you see across the country. I don't see it through a different set of lenses. You know, what I expect as Chief of Police, I think what our community expects is that we are going to put our best foot forward. And where we don't, we have to address those issues as well. And I'm standing here doing that. That's the first start. And our officers know that I have nothing but that expectation. And so going forward, not just on this case, but cases in the past. Not everything rises to a press conference. Social media has changed the world in so many ways that sometimes we do have to step out here and speak to those issues, whether they are accurate or not. I think we have to speak to them and we have to address them as best we can given the circumstances that we have.
Chief, a Raleigh councilman, Sage Ortiz, tweeted that the two people arrested were black and queer, and then I talked to the LGBTQ Center of Raleigh, and they said that since all these protests have taken place around the country, and of course here in Raleigh, they've been kind of a source of help for these protesters, passing out water, things like that, and they feel that they're being, because of that, kind of victimized by police, that police are kind of targeting them. What is your reaction to that?
Well, first of all, in most cases, you can't look at a person and tell what their sexual orientation is. And so I think that, you know, to make that allegation is not what we reflect or what we represent. And, you know, throughout the last several years, we have worked very closely with our LGBT Center and our community abroad, speaking to issues that our communities face, including our LGBT community. And so to just say that we pointed folk out because they were black or that they were, I think the social media post said that they were queer. How would I know that? And I think that is not accurate in terms of how we approach that situation. We approach that situation in one way, and I'm addressing it in another way, and it had nothing to do with their race, ethnicity, or their sexual orientation.
The chief will take one more question. Chief, we're going on a few weeks of protests now. We haven't really had an opportunity to speak directly with some of the officers who are engaging with the protesters. Can you give us any sort of insight to how, you know, the officers on the streets are dealing with all of this and dealing with, you know, defunding the police, you know, derogatory comments, etc., how they are kind of handling all of this and dealing with it?
Well, I think you can imagine if somebody said wipe away all of the media outlets, you'd be disheartened in some way. However, we do recognize that there is a role that we all have to play. But I also believe that we are at a very pivotal point in law enforcement. And I say that from a national standpoint. where we have got to find a way to all live, work, and play in a community together. And we also have to recognize the era of our ways, if you will, in terms of where law enforcement has been historically. But how do we get to what the 21st century looks like in terms of policing? And what does that relationship look like in a community? And so it didn't just start with the unfortunate loss of life for Mr. Floyd. We've seen this across the country, and we know that it has also created issues of concern in our own city. But we still have to build from that, and I'm here to do that, as is our officers. And they too are recognizing the challenges that policing not only is facing, but has faced. And they too want to make a difference. We want to be the change that we expect to see in this world. We want to be those change agents. We have to be.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Good afternoon. For the past several weeks, the Raleigh Police Department has assisted and facilitated protesters and rally participants throughout our city as they have exercised First Amendment rights, and we have done so by blocking traffic and allowing them to pass through various intersections and other locations unharmed. Yesterday evening, we had a group who changed their tactics. Members of the group ran into the intersections, jamming traffic and created hazards and other safety concerns. Our officers attempted to coordinate with them to direct traffic around them for their safety. In the past 3 days, we have had 2 incidents in our city that resulted in pedestrian fatalities. We clearly don't want to see this happen to our protesters. During one of these attempts yesterday, an incident occurred between our police officer and a protester, which was initially reported as an assault on a law enforcement officer.